In the plains east of the Jordan, Moses gathers the people of Israel to speak his final words before they enter the Promised Land. 40 years have passed since they left Egypt. Now, after victories over Sihon and Og, Moses reminds them of all God has done. He begins to explain the law once again, so the next generation will know how to live under God's guidance. Moses recalls how God said at Mount Sinai, "You've stayed here long enough, go and take the land I promised your fathers." He tells them he could not lead such a vast nation alone and needed wise men to share the burden. So he appointed leaders over thousands, hundreds, fifties, and tens, men known for wisdom and fairness. He instructed them to judge righteously, showing no partiality, for judgment belongs to God alone. Moses reminds them of the time they reached Kadesh Barnea, ready to enter the land God had promised. But the people sent 12 spies ahead, who returned saying the land was good. Still, fear took over, the people refused to go in, afraid of the giants and strong cities. Moses pleaded, "Do not fear, the Lord fights for you, just as he did in Egypt." Yet they did not trust God, though he had gone before them with fire by night and cloud by day. Because of this unbelief, God swore that none of that generation would see the promised land except Caleb, who followed fully. Even Moses would not enter, but Joshua was chosen to lead the people instead. The people then tried to fight on their own, but without God, they were defeated and turned back weeping. For many years they wandered around Mount Seir, but God still cared for them, lacking nothing in all that time. They passed through the lands of Edom, Moab, and Ammon, nations descended from Esau and Lot, lands God told them not to touch. When the old generation had died out, God said it was time to move forward again. They fought Sihon king of Heshbon, who came against them. God gave them victory, and they took his land. Then Og king of Bashan came to battle at Edrei, but he too was defeated, his land full of great fortified cities. The tribes of Reuben, Gad, and half of Manasseh received that eastern territory as their inheritance. But Moses reminded them that their warriors must still help their brothers conquer the land west of the Jordan. Moses himself begged God to let him cross the Jordan to see the good land. But God said no, only Joshua would lead them, though Moses could view the land from Mount Pisgah. So Moses strengthened Joshua, telling him to be courageous and trust the Lord's promise. Moses urges the people, hear God's commands and do them. Do not add to them or take away. He reminds them how those who followed idols perished, but those faithful to God lived on. He tells them never to forget what they saw at Mount Horeb, God's voice from the fire, and to teach it to their children. Moses warns them never to make idols, for God is a consuming fire but also merciful to those who return to him. Finally, he praises God's greatness, who rescued Israel with mighty power, and calls the people to keep his covenant and live in the land with wisdom and blessing.